Welcome to Math with Mrs. Cox. This is Chapter 4, Lesson 4, Adjust Quotients. Now in this lesson, I only do these first 4 problems on page 271. Then I bounce to the homework. So please follow along and do what I do. Adjusting quotients. Quotient is the answer to a division problem. Let's begin. When you estimate which digit to place in the quotient, your estimate might be too small or too large, so you need to adjust the quotient, kind of like the Goldilocks rule, the just right zone. Example 1. During lunch, there were 144 students in the cafeteria. The cafeteria has a total of 16 tables. How many students can sit at each table? All right, we're going to write 144 right here, divided by 16. Now, they estimate, the first thing we can try and do is estimate by using compatible numbers. 140 works a little bit better with 20. And remember the rule of zeros? They both have a 0, so we can cross off a 0. Now, this is something we can do quite easily. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So we know that about 7 students can sit at each table. But let's try the estimate and then adjust and try 9. Let's try this. So right here, we're going to try 16 into 144. We can look and see that 16 cannot go into 1. 16 cannot go into 14, so we're going to have to try 144. So we're going to do either a guess and check, or we can estimate roughly. Let's do a few. 16, let's see, let's try about 7, because that's kind of what we got right here. 6 times 7 is 42. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 112. Then we can subtract. 4 minus 2 is 2. 4 minus 1 is 3. So then we have 32. Since 32 is greater than 16, the estimated digit's too low. Okay, so we're going to adjust. We're going to try 8. So we're going to try 16 times 8. 8 times 6 is 48. 8 times 1 is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So then we're going to write 8 up here, 128 right here, and then we're going to subtract. Now, right here, we have a problem. We cannot take 8 from 4, so we need to borrow next door. So that's going to be a 3 because we're borrowing from the next door, and turn that into a 14. Now I'm going to count up and see how many is between 8 and 14. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There are 6 left. Right here is pretty easy. 3 minus 2 is just a lonely little 1. And since 16 is equal to 16, the estimated digit is too low. Well, goodness sakes, we haven't hit our just right Goldilocks zone. So let's try again. Let's do 16 times 9. 9 times 6 is 54. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 5 would be 14. So we have 144. So 9 times 16 is 144. Oh, hooray. That's our Goldilocks zone. That is just right. So 144 divided by 16 is 9. Since S equals 9, 9 students can sit at each table. And we're going to check for reasonableness. When we had this number right here, we thought about 7, and 7 is about close to 9. It's not precise, but estimates rarely are, but it gets us in the ballpark figure. So that is page 271. Now, you're going to show this to me so I can mark you off, and then let's go to the homework. Page 275. Let's begin. Estimate using compatible numbers. Great example. 238 is a really crazy number, and so is 62. So we're going to adjust that to 240 because I know that 240 gets along with 6 really nice. And with the rule of zeros, if there's a 0 in the divisor and the dividend, you can cross them off. And your answer, because math always has patterns, the answer will be the same. So there we go. Let's continue. Now, they do not give you enough room on this homework. Please either write very small and with a sharp pencil or grab graph paper. Now, if you're someone whose writing's all over the place, please just make life easier on me as I check your work and easier on you, and just get some graph paper. It's in the back in the drawers. Let's begin. Number 1. 48 will go into 1,261. We've got to figure out how many times it's going to work here. So 48 cannot go into 1, and it cannot go into 12, so I'm going to have to go into 126. Now 48 is really close to 50, and I know for 126 there's going to be at least 2 of those, because that would equal 100, and 126 is pretty close. I don't think I can get a third 50 into that. So I'm going to take my handy dandy little eraser, erase this, get my marker out, and I'm going to write 2, but I have to go clear over here to the 6 because that's how many digits over I am trying to figure out how many times 48 can go into. So I have 48 times 2. 2 times 8 is 16. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So then I have a 96 right here. Now, this is going to be some crazy subtraction. Please make sure you have plenty of room or you have graph paper. Okay, 6 minus 6 is 0. Whew, that was easy. 9 cannot come from 2 though, so I don't have enough, so I have to borrow next door. I'm going to turn that into a 0, bring this over 12. Now I can count up 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 3 in between these numbers. Then I bring down my 1. There, 48 will now go into 301. Again, I know the 48 is really close to 50, and if I have 300, I can cross off those zeros, and I know that 5 will go into 30 at least 6 times. So I'm going to guesstimate. I'm going to erase this work because I need the room. If you have graph paper, you have plenty of room. So I'm going to guesstimate about 6 times. So let's do the work over here. 48 times 6. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 4 is 24. 2, 5, 2, 6, 27, 28. Ooh, that'll have to do. I don't think we can fit another 48 in there. Keep everything nice and tidy. This is going to be some crazy subtraction. I cannot take 8 from 1. Now this is where it's going to get crazy because I cannot borrow from that 0. So I'm going to have to come clear over here and borrow from the 3, turn that into a 2. Now I'm going to change colors here so it doesn't trip you out. Then I'm going to turn this into a 10 so I can borrow from this and make this an 11. But since I'm going to borrow from it, it's going to make this little number go to a 9. Okay, did you follow how I did that? If not, then push pause and watch that again. Basic subtraction. All right, here we go. 8 from 11. 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 3 left over. 8 from 9 is 1. And then I have 2 from 2 is, well, 0. And there's nothing else I can bring down. So then I have to bring this up and say it's a remainder. Later on in the book, we'll discuss how to work this all the way out. But right now, we're okay with remainders. I'm going to write that a little bit neater. Please make sure that I can see your answer. And do me a favor, circle your answer. It just makes life so much easier for me. There you go. Number 2. 86 into 1,204. Well, 86 cannot go into 1. It cannot go into 12. So I'm going to say I have to see how many 86s are in 120. So I'm me get my eraser out so I don't confuse you. I'm going to say at least 1. 1 times 86 will be 86 here. This is where you have to be really careful with your subtraction. I cannot take 6 from 0, so more on the floor, borrow next door. I have to cross off the 2, make it a 1, and bring this over here. This is going to be 10. I like writing it up here. So 6 to 10, there's 4 different between that, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now come over to the next line. I cannot take 8 from 1, so I'm going to have to borrow. That's going to be a 0. That's going to be 11. 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 3 different in between that. Okay, there we go. I have to bring this 4 down. So now my next number is 344. I'm going to estimate. This is really close to 100, and I bet I can fit about 3 of those into that. So I'm going to do a guess and check and say it's going to be about 3. So over here, I'm going to do the work. 86 times 3. Some of you might be thinking I need to times it by 4, so to make you happy, I'm going to do that right here too. You have to do a guess and check sometimes. Let's do this first one first. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 8 is 24, 25. Oof, I bet we have room for one more 86. Let's try the 4 one. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 8 is 32, 33, 34. Oh, that's beautiful. That's the beauty of guess and check. You can definitely figure out how close you need to be. Find the Goldilocks, the just right. 344 works out to be a beautiful 0. Please circle your answer so I can find it easily. Thank you so much. There's number 2. Number 3. They have not wrote this, so it's easy for us to figure out. Let's work on it together. So 428 divided by 61. There we go. I can tell that 61 will not go into 4, will not go into 42, so I'm going to have to see if it goes clear into 428, the whole thing. So let's do a guess and check, shall we? I know that 61 is really close to 60, and I know that goes into 420 about 7 times because 6 goes into 42 7 times. So using that knowledge, I'm going to do a guess and check with 61 times 7. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 6 is 42. Not bad. Not bad. We'll take it. Okay, let's see what we got. 7. I have to put the 7 clear over here because I used all of those numbers. 427. And there's only 1 left over. Oh, that's aggravating. All right, 7 remainder 1 is our answer. Make sure you circle it so I can find it quickly. That is what your paper should look like. Please make sure you're neat and tidy and that your name is on your paper. Number 4. 28 times 5. Do a guess and check. 4 times 8 is 32. 8, 9, 10, 11. Nope, not enough. 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 4. Oh, that's just perfect. So it's going to be 5, 140. I have to finish just so I can sleep well at night. There you go. T is 5. Number 5. We have 2,075 divided by 83. Let's begin. 83 cannot go into 2. 83 cannot go into 20. So we're going to have to put 83 into 207. I know 83 is really close to 100, and I know that 207 is really close to 200. So I can guess that I might have the answer of 2. So let's do a guess and check. 83 times 2. I'm going to do a 2 right here. Erase this numbers or this line so it doesn't confuse you. All right, 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 8 is 16. So 2 times 83 is 166. Be very careful with your subtraction here. 7 minus 6 is 1, but I cannot take 6 from 0. More on the floor, borrow next door. That's going to be a 1. This is going to end up being a 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That'd be 4 different. I'm going to pull down this 5. Okay, looking at 415, I have to see how many times 83 will go into 415. Let's do a guess and check of maybe a 5. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 8 is 40. Plus 1 is 41. Oh, yes. 5. 5 times 83 is 415. That equals 0. So my answer is 25. Circle it so that I know what you're talking about. Whoops. There we go. We're on number 6 now. Okay, number 6 reads 531 divided by 59 equals n. So we have to figure out what n equals. 59, let's just do a guess and check with 8. 72. 8 times 5 is 40. 47. A little bit more. Let's try 59 times 9, shall we? 9 times 9 is 81. 9 times 5 is 45. 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53. Ooh, I like that one. 531. 0. So my answer is 9. That's what 4, 5, and 6 should look like. Now remember, I need to see your work or you will have to do this video twice. All right, let's do number 7, folks. Woodfern School has a raffle each year to raise money for the music program. The raffle needs to sell 1,500 tickets. How many raffle ticket sellers are needed if each seller sells 75 tickets? Write an equation with the unknown value. Solve for the unknown. When it wants you to write an equation with an unknown value, it wants you to write, this is an equation, and they want you to write some sort of letter in there as the unknown value. Okay, so let's practice. We know that this is an important number and this is an important number. So we can say 1,500 divided by 75 equals, we'll just do T for ticket seller, shall we? So let's figure that out. 75 will go into 1,500. Let's figure out how many times. 75 will not go into 1, will not go into 15, but it will go into 150. Let's do a guess and check. I'm going to kind of do my work over here a little bit. So let's try 75 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 7 is 14. Plus 1 more is 15. Oh, perfect. So I'm going to erase this number right here, this line, so it doesn't confuse you. I'm going to write 2 clear over here because I'm using 150. 2 times 75 is 150. 0. Bring down the 0. Cool thing about this is that you can say, okay, 75 goes into 0, 0 times. 0 times 75 is 0, so that equals 0. Now, if you're not sure what to do, you can always do the opposite of division, which is multiplication to check your answer. So I'm going to take 75 times 20. 0 times everything is 0. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 more would be 15. Oh my goodness, look at that. That's our original number that we had right there. So we know that our answer is correct. So we know that we can say that T equals 20 ticket sellers. Please write neat. There you go. And it would make my life so happy if you would circle your answer. You don't have to do it in a different color, but circle your answer. Number 8, an electronics store prices 3 dozen. Now remember, a dozen is another word for 12. So 3 times 12 equals 36, okay? So an electronics store prices 36 video games at the total of $1,476. If each video game costs the same amount, what is the total cost for 4 dozen video games? Show your work by writing equations for the variables with unknown values. Pretty much they want you to write equations and how to figure this out. All right, so we have the first question right here, question number 1. What is the total cost for 4 dozen video games? Show your work by writing equations. First thing we need to do is figure out how much each video game costs. So we have 36 video games, and the total cost for everything is $1,476. Okay? Then once we get that answer, we can times that by 4 dozen. Here we go. Okay, 36 will not go into 1. It will not go into 14. So we're going to have to put 36 into 146. So let's just do a guess and check. So I'm going to do 36 times, we'll just say 4. And then maybe we'll do 36 times 3. All right, 36 times 4. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 3 is 12, 13, 14. That might be what we're looking for because that's pretty close. I don't think 36 times 3 would work out for us. So let's do a 4 right here. And I'm going to erase this right here, and I'm going to erase this because I might need this room for something else. 4 times 36 is 144. 7 minus 4 is 3. This is a 0 and a 0. I'll bring down the 6. Would be 36. Oh, beautiful. 36 goes into 36 one time. 1 times 36 is 36. 0. So I know that each game is $41, okay? So I'm going to write some information here. I'm going to leave a space. Leave this gap right here. Oh, nice. Leave this gap right here, okay? So right here we need to write that the total cost for all the for the 36 games is $1,476. We then divided that by 36, which is what we did here. And that equals $41 a game. Now, we need to figure this part out. 4 dozen. That's like saying 4 times 12. That equals 48. So, our next equation we're going to write is $41 times 48, which is the 4 dozen video games. And we need to figure out how much money that is. We're going to say it equals T. That's a really funny T. Let me write that better. T. And then we're going to tell you what that answer is. But first, let's figure it out. Okay, so 41 times 48. And remember, you can do this on a graph paper if you don't have room. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 4 is 32. And remember, when we do multiplication, when we do 2 digit by 2 digit, we draw a turtle head and drop an egg. Okay? So 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Now we can add. 8 plus 0 is 8. 4, 5, 6. 6, 7, 8, 9. 1. That's our answer that we're going to stick right here is 1,968. Go slow so you write neatly. And we also need to stick that answer right here because that's the first question is what is the cost for 4 dozen games? So we're going to write that again right here, 1,968. So this is what you need to have wrote for it to be correct. Whoops, wrong color. Let me try that again. That is the answer you need wrote. And I need to see your work over here or on a graph paper. Okay, number 9. The Rodriguez family is taking a 1,311-mile train ride. If the train travels at 57 miles per hour, how many hours will the ride last? Model with 2 equations using variables for the unknown. Write 1 compatible numbers, 1 using actual numbers. I know this seems kind of complicated, but hang on with me and we've got it. First of all, let's just do the real problem, okay? I'm going to use this other side because I'm running out of room over here. I'll move my little bar. We'll do 57 will go into 1,311. Okay, 57 will not go into 1, it will not go into 13, but 57 will go into 131. Let's do a guess and check, shall we? So 57, let's do times 2 and see what we get. 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 5 is 10, 11. Ooh, that's pretty close. I don't think we have room for another one. So we're going to say it goes into it twice. So I have to go clear over here to the 1. 2 times 57 is 114. Write neatly, please. Now we've got some tricky subtraction. We cannot take 4 from 1. So more on the floor, borrow next door. So we're going to take that 3 and turn it into a 2 and turn that into an 11. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 7 in between those. Then 2 minus 1 is 1, and that would be 0. Then we have to bring this 1 down. So 57 will go into 171. Judging by this, it's going to be more than 2. So then I'm going to do a 57 times 3. 21, 15, 16, 17. Oh, yes, that's perfect. 171. So then I know that my answer that I'm looking for is going to be 23. Let's write that down. So it's going to be 23. And they want to know hours. That's what we're labeling it as. Now, if we were to do this with compatible numbers, because they want us to have a couple of different answers here, this is what we're going to write. 1,200 divided by 60. Then we have to add a letter in there. We'll say C. Then we're going to say that C equals 20. So what we did is we estimated this number to 1,200, this number to 60 because it's easier, and it worked out really well because we can cross off a 0. So then we have 120 divided by 6 equals 20. Lovely. And then it wants us to write a real equation, which we did over here to the left, but we'll just write it down horizontally so the answer key is happy. We write 1,311 divided by 57, which is this equation right here. We're just writing it a little bit neater, equals C, and then we discovered that C is equal to 23. All right, make sure you have this wrote down and you should be golden. And I need to see this work on a graph paper or onto the side. Alrighty, let's try up here. Number 10, Alaska has the longest coastline in the United States. Traveling at 62 miles per hour, how many hours would it take to travel to the Pacific coast? All right, so we are working on number 10. We need to figure out traveling 62 miles an hour, how many hours would it take to travel to the Pacific coast? Here's Pacific. So we can set up our question by going 62 miles per hour, and give me a little bit more room. 5,580. I'm going to write that somewhere different. Okay, here is the Pacific coast. We're going to write our equation over here because they just did not give me enough room. So 62, and we're going to go into 5,580. All right, let's figure this out. 62 will not go into 5. It will not go into 55. So we're going to have to put 62 into 580. Excuse me, 558. Thank you. Let's do a guess and check. I know that this is really close to 60, and I know that 9 times 6 is about 54. We could do 54. It'd be close. It would be 9. So let's try that. Let's do a guess and check with 9. So 62 times 9. 18, 54, 55. Oof, love it. 9, 5, 5, 8. Bring down the 0. 62 goes into 0, 0 times. There we go, 90 miles an hour. You can see that answer right there. You can circle that you proved it right there. There we go. Lots of crazy work. Please make sure that I can find your answers and turn your work in.